Whether people wish to admit it or not, one of the main things that the perpetrators of the worst crimes, including government harassment, care about is white culture and being white. That is why I have chosen to attack these things. As long as they perpetrate crimes against humanity in the name of white power and a Masonic New World Order, I will continue to attack Western culture, Masonry, and all the spiritual bottom feeder philosophies they propagate. I have no problem with white people, but as long as their culture is the most harmful philosophy on this planet, especially Western-styled Satanism, all Satanism is bad, but the one that's threatening humanity is Western-style Satanism, fake Jew Satanism, and European Satanism, Royal Family Satanism, Jesuit-style Satanism, and Masonic Satanism. Thank you. This video is a warning to mainstream society, whatever race they may be. We all know they are disproportionately white, and at the top, disproportionately Jewish and white. Even though whites are 76% of America, on the top level, it is still disproportionately white and Jewish. To give you an idea who's going to go down in history to blame. For all you white racists, pay close attention. Is it possible to partake in sociopathic activities over a long period of time and to not suffer from a degree of sociopathy, or to be in the state of mind of sociopathy, a sociopathic state of mind, if you will? That's what I want you all to ask yourselves. Call it a hypothetical question. I know the answer. You see, what we see in society is systematic racism, institutional racism, bias, discrimination, and so on. And there are many levels of it. You know, if a job does hire a black person, he faces discrimination and racial bias in the workplace. And usually it is just to say that they are an equal opportunity employer, and that is why they're hired, right? And this happens more often than not. It's not just sometimes, or not just occurring, it happens more often than not. You see it with many cases, including Kaiser ripping off my family. My dad is a brain surgeon, one of the top, if not the top brain surgeon in America. Because he's black African, he was ripped off by a disproportionately white and Jewish Kaiser nonprofit organization. So of course this happens in institutions, NGOs, and so on. So what do you see here? Well, we see the black man being stabbed in the back at every turn. And so while he either tends to his wounds and is preoccupied with self-healing and addressing things in his environment that are out of his control and having to adjust, or there are wounds inflicted that he cannot heal himself, so he is oppressed. We have white people pretending it doesn't exist, and those who are too stupid to acknowledge it exists, or to see that it exists. So whether you are too stupid to see it, or you are too dishonorable and too lowly, you should stay the fuck out of politics. You know, it is time the fucking people who are too stupid and too dishonorable get the fuck out of the way so that the truth can come to the light. The fuck out of the way. So, with that being said, I'm sure we all acknowledge that I'm right. I mean, there are countless examples of racist organizations, hate groups, racist religions such as the Mormons, who believe black people are cursed, and some of them say that, oh, that's not what we believe, but that is the general sentiment in the Mormon community. There are Eurocentric philosophies everywhere. Freemasonic societies that are Eurocentric. If I have to explain to you that racism is still a major problem in society, even though CNN came out with the Kaiser Foundation poll and so on and so forth, you're a fucking idiot. Even when white people are admitting that racism is a problem on fucking CNN, okay? I say, well, it's the race bait. Oh, I bet the people, you know, there's some people who think that blacks aren't really being shot by police and it's just a race bait tactic being used by the media. If you don't understand that racism is still a huge problem, I'm half black, half white. I don't want to hear white people talk about what they don't know about. You don't fucking know. You're an idiot. You're a dumbass. It's time for you to step aside. Okay, this is a warning to white society and to mainstream society especially. You are eventually going to be the minority. Either you can fucking step aside and acknowledge that racism is a problem and that you are incapable of addressing it because you are either too stupid or too dishonorable or both. Ultimately, either way, you're too stupid. Wisdom does not come with dishonor. Wisdom and honor go hand in hand. Cowardice, treachery, dishonor, and stupidity go hand in hand. Step the fuck to the side, you pussies. It's bad enough that you hide from my top martial artist challenge when all the most insightful people who know of it know that I'm right. When all the top martial artists in America, in reality, not niggas on TV, not people on TV who are hella fake, but in reality, they know that I am fucking right. Step the fuck to the side. You are no longer wanted by the masses if you were ever wanted in the first place. You are a coward. You are a dishonorable cheat. You are a fucking stupid piece of shit. You are a spiritual fucking bottom feeder. Step aside and shut the fuck up. That being said, I lead you to the next clip where I prove to you that the people in charge are control freak, eugenicist styled serial killers. By text, it's a textbook example of this. On record, that's what they are, when you bother to look these terms up and truly appreciate what they mean. And they are the people that control mental health. You're going to have a bunch of eugenicists, serial killer dogs, and big pharma and psychiatry tell me there's something wrong with me? The people that drug to death 500,000 people a year when I haven't killed anyone are going to say there's something wrong with me. You're a fucking dumbass if you believe them, whether you're playing stupid or not. If you say that you believe them, you're an idiot. You're a fucking dumbass. You lack honor and wisdom. You shouldn't have any fucking power. Period. The people who are harassing me are disproportionately white, even though white people are 76% of America. They are disproportionately whitewashing. Every once in fucking, maybe once every other year, I see somebody who comes off as down to fucking earth, who is a token fucking motherfucker trying to appease the masses by coming off as sincere. The rest are whitewashed cowards from every race, and whites and Jews, eugenicist serial killers on the top, on fucking record, by definition. Hold your fucking tongue. If you don't agree, you will be banned from the comments. This is fucking by definition. This is not debate. I haven't even begun to put my opinion. This is the facts, you stupid motherfuckers. Listen to what it means to be a serial killer. Listen to what it means to be eugenicist. Listen to what it means to be a sociopath, you stupid motherfuckers. The point of this video is that the people in charge are textbook, control freak, eugenicist styled serial killers. And their cooling off period takes place whenever the heat is turned up and the spotlight is on them. Then they cool off. Sometimes not all the way, until they feel they can get away with it again. So now I will define these things from Merriam-Webster and Wikipedia and WebMD, Michael Tompkins, EHD, psychologist at the Sacramento County Mental Health Treatment Center, and so on. Okay, so let's start with sociopath. A person with a personality disorder manifesting itself in extreme antisocial attitudes and behavior and a lack of conscience. Now, for something to be antisocial, it means that you can't come out with it. For example, if you're in a cult and you sacrifice babies, you can't come out to the general public and say, I'm in a cult and we sacrifice babies. That's antisocial behavior that's being done in groups. So don't let the fact that they have a network fool you. They are engaging in antisocial behavior by definition, in a way that is harmful. And don't confuse being a political activist who's been isolated as being antisocial. Don't confuse transcendentalism, you know, Thoreau and Emerson as being antisocial as far as it applies to psychology and mental health. Okay? Antisocial behavior typically is harmful behavior. So anyway, this is from WebMD. A person with a key difference between a psychopath and a sociopath is whether he has a conscience, the little voice inside that lets us know when we're doing something wrong, says L. Michael Tompkins, EHD. He's a psychologist at the Sacramento County Mental Health Treatment Center. A psychopath doesn't have a conscience. If he lies to you so he can steal your money, he won't feel any moral qualms, though he may pretend to. He may observe others and then act the way they do so he's not found out, quote unquote, Tompkins says. A sociopath typically has a conscience, but it's weak. He may know that taking your money is wrong, and he might feel some guilt or remorse, but that won't stop his behavior. Both lack empathy, the ability to stand in someone else's shoes and understand how they feel. But a psychopath has less regard for others, says Aaron Kipnis, PhD, author of The Midas Complex. Someone with this personality type sees others as objects he can use for his own benefit. Extreme antisocial attitudes and behavior, and a lack of conscience. That actually wasn't part of it. That was just something I added for my own notes. So I'm going to stop for a second and explain. They're using society as tools for their own benefit. I do believe these people know what they're doing is wrong. I do believe that the majority of these people feel some form of remorse, you know, especially because they come from families. You know, it's very rare to have a, entire family of psychopaths. You know, some of them, at least some of them, feel some remorse. So I think it is more appropriate to put them in the category of sociopaths with some psychopaths. The most appropriate way to describe it is that there are psychopath serial killers in charge, and they have a bunch of sociopaths working for them and working with them to bring in a eugenics-styled form of serial killing. Now, I'm going to define a serial killer. A serial killer is a person who murders 3 or more people, usually due to abnormal psychological gratification, with the murders taking place over more than a month and including a significant break between them. Some sources such as the FBI disregard the 3 or more criterion and define serial killing as a series of 2 or more murders committed as separate events, usually but not always by one offender acting alone. Now, I would call government harassing, group stalking, different wars, separate events. Different forms of soft kills, separate events. Although psychological gratification is the usual motive for serial killing, and most serial killings involve sexual contact with the victim, the FBI states that the motives of serial killers can include anger, thrill, financial gain, and attention seeking. Sound like anyone you know? The people in charge. They go out of their way to be celebrities. They go out of their way to make money. They're angry at the poor. They're angry at the opposition view. They get thrills out of doing sadistic shit. They're a bunch of attention-seeking, drama queen, narcissistic, sociopath dogs. Anyway, the murders may be attempted or completed in a similar fashion, and the victims may have something in common: race, appearance, sex, or age group, for example. Now, this is key. Look at my wall. It says on the top, it says the Negro Project. Okay? They have something in common. Their race. They fit a certain criterion or criteria which describes them as undesirable. Eugenics is serial murder by definition, and the people in charge are eugenicists by definition. Textbook. Okay? Psychiatrists are sociopaths who are helping them out. Almost all of them feel some form of remorse, but it's not enough to stop them, and financial gain is one of their main motives. And we all know that psychiatrists are disproportionately sex offenders. Well, I would hope that we all know that by now. It is a social philosophy. Okay, now I'm going to define eugenics. It is a social philosophy advocating the improvement of human genetic traits through the promotion of higher rates of sexual reproduction for people with desired traits. So attention seeking for those who a bunch of hypocrites have deemed as having desired traits. Positive eugenics. Or reduced rates of sexual reproduction and sterilization of people with less desired or undesired traits, negative eugenics. Now, there is no difference between positive and negative eugenics when you think about it. When you create a society that makes it hard for people with undesirable traits to reproduce, and you promote one group, you should reproduce with the rich, hypergamy, and all this feminist nonsense you see in evolutionary psychology. Okay, that is the same thing. Say don't reproduce with him, you should all reproduce with these rich kind of people. That is reducing rates of sexual reproduction, of people with less desired traits, whether sterilization or whether it is a social construct for the purpose of quote-unquote positive eugenics. But eugenics is eugenics. It is wrong, and historically and always, the people who have been doing it and who are doing it are inferior. They are a bunch of chicken neck Kissinger cowards. They are a bunch of Bill Gates little idea-stealing trash. They are a bunch of filth. They are cheaters. They have lied and cheated and manipulated and used their secret society networks to come out on top. They are by no means superior. They are inferior. Their bloodlines are inferior. This is akin to a bunch of rats doing eugenics on a bunch of jaguars. It is a joke. It is highly political, highly hypocritical. It is a fucking joke. The people in charge are the most inferior, insecure scum in all of my research that I have ever come across. And even when they drug me, they cannot debate me and they cannot defeat me in the ring. My viewers and I are closer to God than they are. I would stake my life on it. Thank you. Philosophies they propagate. I have no problem with white people, but as long as their culture is the most harmful philosophy on this planet, especially Western-styled Satanism. All Satanism is bad, but the one that's threatening humanity is Western-style Satanism, fake Jew Satanism, and European Satanism, Royal Family Satanism, Jesuit-style Satanism, and Masonic Satanism. Thank you. Over a long period of time. And to not suffer from a degree of sociopathy, or to be in the state of mind of sociopathy, a sociopathic state of mind, if you will. That's what I want you all to ask yourselves. Call it a hypothetical question. I know the answer. You see, what we see in society is systematic racism, institutional racism, bias, discrimination, and so on. And there are many levels of it. If a job does hire a black person, he faces discrimination. Whether people wish to admit it or not, one of the main things that the perpetrators of the worst crimes, including government harassment, care about is white culture and being white. That is why I have chosen to attack these things. As long as they perpetrate crimes against humanity in the name of white power and a Masonic New World Order, I will continue to attack Western culture, Masonry, and all the spiritual bottom feeder and racial bias in the workplace. And usually it is just to say that they are an equal opportunity employer, and that is why they're hired, right? And this happens more often than not. It's not just sometimes, or not just occurring, it happens more often than not. You see it with many cases, including Kaiser ripping off my family. My dad is a brain surgeon, one of the top, if not the top brain surgeon in America. Because he's black African, he was ripped off by a disproportionately white and Jewish Kaiser nonprofit organ. This video is a warning to mainstream society, whatever race they may be. We all know they are disproportionately white, and at the top, disproportionately Jewish and white. Even though whites are 76% of America, on the top level it is still disproportionately white and Jewish. To give you an idea who's going to go down in history to blame. For all you white racists, pay close attention. Is it possible to partake in sociopathic activities